Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, another Donald Trump connected Republican has been accused of inappropriate behavior with teenagers. So, I'm talking about John McEntee. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he was a personal aide to Donald Trump during his presidency. He's also a person who was infamously fired during that presidency, and he was immediately escorted off of the White House grounds. Now, supposedly it was because of a gambling habit. I'm not sure if I buy that excuse, but that's what Trump's administration said. They told the press that although McEntee hadn't done anything illegal, they were worried about outside actors being able to influence him. Think about that. I mean, they're worried about outside influence with a staffer, but not with the sitting president. Yeah, okay, sure, Jan. So anyway, McEntee went on to work for Trump's reelection campaign. He's also currently, as I understand it, a senior advisor for Project 2025. So that tells you exactly who this guy is, what he's all about. And over the years, he had created this dating app. It's specifically for right-wingers. It's called The Right Stuff. And has been mocked relentlessly because basically it's just a bunch of lonely MAGA dudes. That's it. They're like hardly any women. They just can't seem to attract many women to the site for some reason. Maybe because women know that, the right stuff is the wrong stuff. But anyway, this kind of dovetails in with today's story because McEntee has now been accused by two different 18-year-old girls of hitting them up in private messages and making inappropriate, sometimes sexual comments. There's actually more women who have said that this happened, which I'll explain, but they are not speaking to the journalists. I don't know why they don't want to come forward, but anyway, maybe we'll learn more about the rest of them as time goes on. They also say, these two women, that McEntee tried to lure them out to Los Angeles to visit him, and he promised them a free trip. So here's the deal. Here's how this all came to light. In October of 2023, an 18-year-old college freshman, a woman named Grace Carter, she received a message on Instagram. So she gets this message from the Right Stuff business account. The message asked her if she was interested in receiving free merchandise from the company. So Carter said at that time, she didn't know much about the company, and she was like, okay, I'm down for the free hoodie. So she messaged back, she's like, sure, I'll take the free merch. So she later realized she wasn't corresponding with just some random employee. She was actually exchanging messages with McEntee. And keep in mind, he is a 34-year-old man. So McEntee gives this Carter woman his personal cell phone number, and he told her, yeah, my name is John. So then he starts inviting her to California. And according to Wired news outlet, quote, he repeatedly offered to fly her and a girlfriend to Los Angeles, quote unquote, my treat. Then Carter said that she had a boyfriend at the time, so she kept joking to the boyfriend. He knew she was corresponding with him, and she tells the boyfriend, you're going to be the other girl. You're going to be the one that I take to LA. And Carter admitted, yeah, I was kind of trolling McEntee because she said, it was very obvious from her profile that she's on the left. She's a leftist. And she said, quote, I was like, I could use a free trip. That's initially why I kept the conversation going. But then he sends her this creepy message. McEntee wrote, quote, I think you're a liberal, but as long as you'll be fun, I don't care. Yeah, I mean, that would freak me out. What does that mean? Fun. And she told Wired that she doesn't know how he found her. Like I said, her profile is clearly more progressive. And after Carter refused to visit McEntee during her winter break, she said the conversation basically just died out. Carter also said, quote, "I would have been uncomfortable with him in person." So Carter moves on with her life. Like I said, this was 2023. Then this happened.
Can someone track down the women Kamala Harris says are bleeding out in parking lots because Roe v. Wade was overturned? Don't hold your breath.
So that was McEntee. I referenced this video, I think it was last week, about women who had, in fact, experienced life-threatening issues because of Trump's abortion ban and that have responded to McEntee. So, here he is, he's asking this truly ignorant question because he clearly has no clue what's going on in this country. And again, this is one of the top advisors to Project 2025. So they have an alleged puppy murderer and this guy. And if you don't know about that story, I'll link to it at the end of this video. But yeah, all the best people. So Carter saw that video on TikTok, like a bunch of other people, because it went viral. And then she said, I got to do something. I got to step forward. So she posted her own video on TikTok, and she started sharing what went on between the two of them and the messages from McEntee. So she started receiving a bunch of other messages from other young women who said, yeah, I had a similar interaction with him. This same thing went down with the two of us. So Wired spoke with one of these other women who was also 18 at the time of her communication with McEntee. This woman wanted to remain anonymous, though, for safety reasons. But as with Carter, she shared her messages with Wired. So they're not just taking these women's, word for it. They actually saw the messages between her and McEntee and Carter and McEntee. So in regard to this other woman, she said they started communicating on the Right Stuff app. She had signed up on the app, and then it moved offline. It went to texting. And he gave her the same California number that he shared with Carter. So this woman says she considered herself to be somewhat conservative. Her family's very conservative. And so she knew who McEntee was before they started messaging. She knew that he, set up the site and everything. He worked in Trump's administration. So unlike Carter, who had no idea who this guy was, this woman actually knew, and she told Wired that once their conversations moved to text, quote, "It was very sexual from day one." And she said he repeatedly mentioned specific sex acts, even though she told him, hey, this is making me uncomfortable. And quote, "He kept making comments about my age and how hot it would be to sleep with someone who was my age." Okay. I mean, maybe it's different for guys, but not to get into like the details, but it's a little easier for guys to get there than it is for women. So for women, we're like an 18-year-old, like they don't know what anything is or where anything is or how to work it. So not exciting for a woman. But anyway, moving on. And then just as with, McEntee had done with Carter, he tried to get this other young woman to fly out to Los Angeles. And this woman said, quote, "He would say things like, I come and visit you and we hook up or whatever. You should bring one of your friends or you should take a couple of your friends," and was like verifying that my friends were the same age as me as well. But she told Wired that as with Carter, their conversation eventually died out because she made it clear she was not going to be flying out to LA. And she told Wired, quote, "The more I thought about it, the more it makes me sad that he's sort of a role model, especially for young conservative men. And I feel like this person isn't a great role model for these young conservative men." I mean, wow. What rock has she been hiding under? I mean, welcome to reality, young lady. This is who the greedy, oppressive predators party is. When you call them conservative, you really have to emphasize the con part. Okay, that is who they are. And I should mention, Wired News has a phone number that they've used to contact McEntee in the past, and it is the same phone number that he gave to these two teenagers. So he can't say, oh, that wasn't me. Those were fake communications, fake text messages, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I guess when grown women find you repugnant, then you start trolling for teenagers because, you're hoping that they're still too naive to see you for what you really are. Anyway, so I will let you all know when or if I hear more. Hopefully more of these women will step forward. But yeah, like I always say, no question, no wondering, no big mystery here as to why this guy would support Trump. So, all right, I will let you all know when or if I hear more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you possibly can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.